Hello and welcome to today's video. Today reviewing a pen from Asvine. Now I've jumped this one ahead of another Asvine review simply because this is a newer model. So I was discussing a review of another of their pens with the company when this pen was announced. So they very graciously sent me out this one to show you. This is a very, very cool pen. Comes in the standard Asvine packaging. And then in that lovely clear frosted plastic container, which I really enjoy using for storing little bits and pieces. And it comes with the tool as well as a bunch of O-rings and little gasket valves, things like that, because this is a vac filling pen and this is the V800. So I have it here in the sky blue version, which I think is just gorgeous. I don't have a lot of pens in this color family in my collection, and I kind of thought this would be a great opportunity to add one. So this is, as I said, the V800 is a vac filling pen, which is why it's great that it comes with those extra O-rings and little valves and things, because you want to be able to maintain the pen and give it a good longevity. So I'm going to talk about the parts and features of this pen. I'll do a writing sample and then talk about some pros and cons. So top of the pen is a lovely polished sort of dome. We then get the clip and the clip ring there. The clip is perfectly functional. I've had no issues with it. The cap swells and we get this center band that reminds me of the Tianzi center band with those little like dots around the outside. It says Asvine and a V800 on there. And then we get a little step down onto the barrel. The barrel continues, tapers ever so slightly to a ring, and then we get the piston knob, or the vac filling valve knob, if you will. It is a twist cap and it comes off in about 1 4/5 turns. So not quite 2 turns, which is great. There's nice smooth threads down onto a nice thick section, which flares ever so slightly at the end there. And we get the steel number 8 Asvine nib. So a vac filler with a number 8 size nib. Awesome. This is a fine, and it's got a nice big healthy feed there on the back. Feed works really, really well. The whole system works really, really well. The pen writes like a dream, writes nice and wet. It's just a very, very good pen. So yes, that is the basics of the pen. You can see the material is slightly sort of translucent. You can see actually drops of ink there in the cap, and you can see bits of the mechanism through the barrel as well. I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up with the light the way it is, but you can see the little little gasket and the rod in there. I have not tested this as a vac filler on flights or anything like that, so I'm not entirely sure how airtight this would be for flying. And what I've found is that it takes a little bit of work to get a full feel of this pen. I'll show you the basics of the system with another vac filling pen here. This is the TWSBI VAC 700R. And the reason I'm showing it with this is because it's a translucent pen. So you pull the rod back. As you push it down, it creates a negative pressure back here behind the gasket. And then when it reaches a point, and you can see here in the TWSBI, there's like a little swell out in the plastic there. Once it reaches that point, it releases and ink is sucked up into the pen, replacing that negative pressure behind. Then when you close the valve down, it seals off that little the nib section, grip section. So there's ink in that when it's filled, but the ink can't move from the barrel. So when you're writing, you need to release that ever so slightly. So yes, this is a vac filling pen, uses that same method to fill. Now I won't do it now because the pen is filled with ink, but you can unscrew the nib section, and that's where those little O-rings are very handy, because there are O-rings in here to prevent like ink leaking and things like that. So it's a fully dismantleable pen, maintainable, cleanable, all that kind of stuff. I kind of love that, and I love they provided the little wrench with this pen for that. So as I said, I have this in a fine nib, and it comes with a steel number 8 size nib. It's also available in extra fine, medium, and a stub nib. And I've tried a range of the other number 8 Asvine nibs, including the stub nib, and I think they're absolutely great. I think this is as far as the Chinese brands of number 8 nibs go, I think the Asvine are doing really fantastic things. The pen does post and it posts onto that sort of area of the ring there. It's comfortable posted, like the weight is fine because it's not a super heavy pen, but this is not a small pen. This is a very, as we'll see in the size comparison, it's a good size. So unless you need or want to post your pens, you really don't need to with this. It's very comfortable, and I think the ergonomics of the number 8 size nib, while pushing it for some people, including sort of myself, as to what's comfortable, this pen feels very comfortable and very natural in the hand. So let's do that size comparison now. Now I've got it alongside the Asvine J16, which is a piston filling pen using a number 6 size nib. I've got it here alongside the V126 from Asvine. This is basically the smaller sibling, if you will, of the V800 from Asvine. You can see it's a much girthier pen. In terms of length, it's really only a couple of millimeters, but in terms of girth, this is a bigger pen. And of course, I've got it there alongside the Lamy Safari. Uncapped, this pen really does sort of come into its own. I think you see with that number 8 size nib, it looks and feels considerably bigger in the hand. It's bigger there than the J16, which is a very good size pen, and of course bigger than the Lamy Safari. And then posted, you can see this is definitely a substantial sized pen, not just in the girth. The girth, very noticeable in the grip section between the V126 and the V800, but it's more than just the size of the nib. It's just a much bigger pen in general. So what are the specific dimensions of the V800 here from Asvine? Well, it is 150 millimeters when it is capped. It's 137 when it's uncapped. So it's not like grotesquely large. It's just big. And then when posted, it's 177 millimeters. Very, very good size. Around the middle of the section, about 12 millimeters. Around the cap, just under 17 by my measurement. The pen weighs 32 grams, 22 in the body and 10 in the cap. So it's definitely not back weighted if you decide to post it, but at 22 grams, it's a nice weight pen in the hand unposted. Okay, let's do a writing sample now with the Asvine V800. So this is in the sky blue finish. It comes in a range of different color options, so something for everyone. It has a steel number 8 Asvine nib, and this is a fine. The ink in this today is an Octopus Fluids ink, and it is a Caribbean blue, which is a lovely ink. Not necessarily an exact match for the pen, but close enough that it's a nice sort of combination. Let's do some writing. So it's a relatively smooth writing experience. It's definitely not scratchy. There's a bit of feedback, but there's also just an ever so slight bit of bounce on this nib that gives you a little bit of an opportunity for some line variation, and you don't have to apply a whole lot of pressure, even in some of like the everyday writing. Like you can see on the F of Fox there, like you put a little bit of extra pressure down on the L of lazy, and suddenly you get some nice shape in it. Reverse writing. It's very scratchy, very fine, but doable. As I said, it's not a flex nib, but it is slightly soft, and it is very wet. There's a great flow on this nib. Fast writing. I don't know about you, but to me, that looks pretty darn good. This is a really nice pen to write with. It's very comfortable. Ergonomically, it makes sense. And the nib writes beautifully. I have this, as you can see, with a fine nib. I may consider getting another of these in one of the broader nibs, like the medium or the stub, just because I think it's just a really lovely writer. And I enjoy it quite a lot. I actually think that this as an upgrade from the V126, it's not necessarily an upgrade. It's a different model and it feels very different. But as a vac filler from Asvine that, is there to do all the things, this one ticks a lot of boxes. So what does the V800 from Asvine cost? Well, I'm going to give the prices in Australian dollars because the retailers I can get this from, AliExpress, Amazon, places like that, retail in Australian dollars for me. I'm in Australia. So this retails from 60 to 75 roughly, give or take, Australian dollars, which makes it a remarkable deal. A pen that writes this well, that has a great filling system like this, that, you get great bang for your buck with this pen. I'm very, very impressed. So what are the pros and cons? Okay, cons. Firstly, it is a bigger pen. Some people, this may be just too big. And yes, that means it also has a bigger ink capacity, but it is harder to get a full fill. You do have to do multiple fills, and including that little, pushing the air out with the piston rod, really getting it primed and then putting it back into the ink. Otherwise, you're getting 30 to 40% of the capacity. I'm not exactly sure what the capacity is, but, it's a big pen body. You're going to get a couple of mil at least into this pen. But there are lots of pros. I think it's a nice size. As I said, it's ergonomically good for me. I find this pen very comfortable. Asvine's number 8 size nibs are fantastic. I love this color, and I love a range of the other colors that are available as well. I think it's great. I love the fact that you get the wrench and the O-rings. So you can maintain and clean the pen properly and give it a really good lifespan. And the other thing I love about this pen is the build quality. It feels right. The tolerances are all good. It's, it's well made. It looks great. It's got a good, simple design. Yes, the design, you can't make a pen in this shape and people not compare it to a Mont Blanc or, some of the, recent Moonman pens and things like that. It's a standard pen shape. I don't think it's trying to be a Mont Blanc. It's trying to be an Asvine V800, and it's doing a great job of that. So I like it. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you would like to support the channel, I would love to hear from you. A massive thank you to Asvine for providing this pen for me to review for you. I think it's absolutely great. And as I said, I'm probably going to pick up another one in a slightly more muted color with a slightly broader nib on it, like a medium or the stub. So enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.